find us when they can. And so, thank you to those of you who are here for the first Wisdom Fireside Chat. And it's exciting for me to be here to share this with you. And I, I don't know, I have a little bit of nerves today on doing this. So, and then of course, like as with family pictures goes, yesterday when I was working on a project, I did something and a board whacked me in the face. So I kind of almost have a little bit of a black eye for the event here. So, uh, kind of a great way to start out the fireside chat. But I wanted to visit with you today on expanding happiness in your own life. And what are the steps that you can take to increase your happiness level and live a life that is truly like in alignment with who you are as an authentic person? So I really think it starts there. It starts with being authentic to yourself. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for joining. I saw Jody join. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Um, Being authentic is kind of an interesting thing in our society because we receive so many messages about who we are supposed to be and labels of who we're supposed to be as a parent, who we're supposed to be as a maybe our role as a student or a employer or an employee. And we have different parameters for how we're supposed to function in each of those roles and what society expects us to be or do. And so stripping all of that away and really understanding what is authentic to us can take a little bit of work. And then there's the other message that we sometimes get from society that being happy is selfish. So we have to overcome that. I was raised with the fact that we're supposed to put other people's interests before our own. And although putting other people's interests, valuing them is a super big, important thing, if we don't value our own interests and our own happiness most, how can we really create or give away something that we don't have? It's like being in that airplane where they suggest that you have to put your own oxygen mask on first before putting the oxygen mask on your child or anyone around you, because you really can't give away something that you don't have. So my question to you today is, what if you lived your life from a value of complete happiness? Well, then you have to stop and take a moment to think, what is it that happiness means to you? And what is going to align with that happiness? What changes would you have to make in your life to align with that happiness? So it has to then start to make us look at the things that don't feel in alignment in our life. And what do I say, but what do I mean by in alignment? Well, it's things that just don't feel like they fit, or they're continually causing us a source of unhappiness or discontent, just kind of that feeling of off in your soul that's not clicking together. And so really taking some time to look at those things and say, okay, what is this all about? And what would it mean if I shifted this to making me completely happy? Well, you know what? That causes us then to face some fears, because when we look deep at what would make us happy, it might mean some changes in our life, and it might mean reevaluating some of the things that we've believed for a long time. And assessing those beliefs it takes a little bit, assessing the belief to say, where did this belief come from? Is it my own belief? Is it a belief that someone else gave me? And if so, then we have to really look and see, is it a belief that is still true to me, or is it something that I need to let go? We're taught growing up the belief system really of our parents. And our parents got their belief system from their parents. And so we have to really stop and pause and consciously say, do those beliefs fit with who we are and what we are today? And if not, how do we let go of them? And our mind can play a big part in happiness. So one of the things that I found truly valuable for me on my own path to happiness is learning to distinguish what part was the mind playing and what part was really coming from deep inside my soul, or that part that you might call intuition, gut feeling, um, that part that just resonates deeply inside of you saying, yeah, this is the path I'm supposed to be on. So separating that part from the path of the mind. And how do you know the difference? Well, the mind is always constantly talking, constantly chattering at you, and it's usually not encouraging chatter. So it could be chatter that is throwing doubt, it's throwing uncertainty, it's telling you all the reasons why something wouldn't work, it's telling you all the reasons why you should just stay where you're at and be comfortable and not take a risk to do anything different. That's the mind. And the intuition or the gut feeling is that deeper, more true sense of guidance on what's best for you in your life. So the key thing is, number one, is learning to separate and understand that our mind is not us. And listening to that voice is not necessarily, what voice is that? Where did it even come from? If we pause for 30 seconds or a minute and listen to what that voice is saying, it's going to say things to you like, why are you wasting the time watching this video? You could be off doing something else. Or it might pop you over to your grocery list. For later today, I need to add ketchup to the grocery list. Or it might be telling you that you should be going to the gym, or whatever the 1,000 different things that voice says. And if you really stop and listen, later today, maybe it's a good thing for you to do after the fact. Set the timer on your phone for like 4 minutes and just sit and watch all the different things that your mind says to you in that 4 minutes. And watch it like your mind is a person sitting on the couch telling you all of those things. And when you're done with that 4 minutes, if you feel like you've been sitting next to a crazy person on the couch that's bouncing all over the place, it'll give you a new perspective of your mind and listening to it and taking direction from it. So I can tell you one thing, getting closer to expanding the happiness in your own life is not going to come by listening to that crazy mental chatter that goes on. But it can come from learning how to quiet that mental chatter and listen to intuition. So one of the things you can do with that is just learn to watch what that voice says and then let it go, and you don't have to get involved in the conversation with it. If it casts a doubt, just let it flow on through instead of engaging in the conversation with it. And then there's learning to listen to our intuitive voice. How do we do that? What's learning to understand how that intuitive voice sounds different than our mind. So it is quieter. Connecting with it, taking deep breaths. Just 1, 2, 3 can quiet us and really bring us to a quieter space in our heart and soul, or we can hear the quieter, softer messages. So, intuition usually is more certain, it's calmer, it's hopeful, it's forward thinking, and it's patient. It's not casting doubt or telling you to go chase crazy rabbit trails in your life. So I'm curious, like, how much have you learned to listen or tap into that voice in your life? Because at one space in my life, I knew I heard that gut feeling or those voices, and I didn't understand what it was telling me. And so I made a choice not to listen to it. And I kind of just like a light switch flipped off of that voice. And so I couldn't hear it until I made a conscious decision later on in my life. Hi, Bonnie. Thanks for being here. Great to have you by the fireside. I made a conscious decision later on in my life to reconnect to that wisdom. And then I had to really learn consciously how to listen to it. And now today, I'd have to say that intuition and wisdom is one of my biggest source of guidance that I go by in my life, where I can really, in any moment, tap into and feel the direction that it's steering me. I kind of feel like intuition for me is that eye in the sky that can kind of look up and see what's coming ahead for me, and it kind of then can communicate to me and help me understand which direction to go. So tapping into your intuition to learn how to find and expand happiness in your life, really key skill. And then the other thing that was super helpful for me in learning how to expand my own happiness is just learning how to ask myself, what would make me happy in this moment? Like, what would just super make me happy right now? And learning to listen for that answer. Wow, that is a super powerful exercise. And you might challenge yourself, or I might challenge you, to this afternoon spend some time just doing that, experimenting with it. Say, this afternoon, I'm going to do only what is making me purely happy. Maybe it's take a nap. Maybe it's go for a walk. Maybe it's eat some ice cream. I don't know. But whatever it is, just listen to that voice. Sometimes I think because we've had messages from society that it's selfish to follow our own happiness, that we feel really guilty when we do or take on that perspective. So I give you permission to let go of the guilt, if there is any, of following your own happiness as you do your happiness experiment this afternoon. So learning how to differ between the mind and the intuition, and learning what makes you happy in the moment, and enjoying the present moment. Eckhart Tolle would say that unhappiness comes from not focusing on the present moment. And the reasons that we don't focus on the present moment, according to Eckhart Tolle, which if you don't know who he is, he's a fantastic, I've learned so much from him. Is we're robbed by happiness in the present moment by either focusing on the past or focusing on the future. But really the only moment that we can live and experience is the one that we're in right now. So learning how to create a happy moment right now creates a happy future moment, because where we're at now is what we're going to duplicate and replicate for the future. So if we don't feel fully present in that moment, you can kind of look at and say, okay, what's robbing me of that happiness in the moment? And is it something from the past? So maybe it's something from the past that still weighs you down that you haven't made peace with. Um, a voice of messages that you learned growing up, or people that told you less than helpful things. It might be your own voice of doubt from past experiences going ways that you didn't want him to. And so that voice of doubt telling you that, oh, it's going to, this is going to be the same way it was in the past. So you're just going to repeat those same experiences. So making peace with the past is kind of like cleaning your house. I've had a little bit more time the last couple weeks to actually look at my own house and do some deep cleaning of some areas. And I've realized that I've neglected some cleaning over the last few years, and some dirt and scum has built up, and it's taken me some elbow grease and some good cleaner to get away and remove some of the gunk, on my sink, in my bathtub, on my fridge. And cleaning away that gunk is a perfect analogy for getting rid of the things that are hindering us from the past. So unless we take time to really face those things that are from the past that we're carrying around with us still, they just stay there. So it takes some house cleaning to look at what they are. So maybe it's cleaning up loose ends from a past relationship. Maybe it's cleaning up loose ends from a failure or something that you've perceived as a failure in your past. And you always feel like you're carrying the shadow of that around with you. And it robs you of the present moment, because when you're here in the present moment, your mind is going to whatever that experience was in the past. So one of the things I'm going to challenge you to do today is grab a note card or a piece of paper, or even shoot me an email at the end of this about what are the things that you're carrying around with you still that you want to let go of. Because scrubbing that away, making a focused effort to release the things that you're carrying around that no longer serve you, is a key part in having peace in the present moment. It takes some time and energy and space to do that. And we have to face some fear, because it doesn't necessarily always feel good to face those things and let them go. But if you really want to expand the happiness in your own life, you have to get rid of those rocks in your backpack, your emotional backpack that you're hauling around with you. So today I want you to think about what's the one rock that you want to let go of. And I want to challenge you to write that rock down on your note card and let it go. We're going to come back to that note card in just a little bit here. So that's how the past can rob us of the present moment, but how can the future also rob us? Well, we might be living in the future on what our future hopes and dreams are, and plans that we're making. And I know at different points in my life I've been kind of so focused on that I never enjoyed the present moment, because I was always thinking about what am I going to do to try to get to that space? What am I going to do to get to there? Or what should I be doing to get there? Well, the cool thing that I've learned is that robs you of enjoying the present moment. And the only moment we have now is enjoying the journey. So there's nothing wrong with having a plan for the future and knowing what you're going to do to get there. But there's only two things that you can do in this very present moment about something that's going on in your life. You can either choose to take some action on it, or you can really accept where you're at with it and be there with it until you can take some action on it. So maybe it's a job situation. Maybe you kind of wonder, is my job completely bringing me happiness and fulfillment? Is it in line with my gifts and talents? Well, there's two things that you can do about that. You can make a decision to really face that and explore that and find answers to it and follow through and make changes. Or you can know that, right now is not the time that you can take any action on it and just unconditionally accept where you're at. That's a choice. But either way, those things of the future, don't let them rob you of the enjoyment of the present moment. So when we commit to living in the present moment, it allows us to really see the people that we're with. We're really able to see the things around us. So committing to living in the present moment looks like putting your cell phone down when you're with your friends. Maybe leaving your cell phone somewhere where you can't even see it and being completely present. Might mean when you're driving down the road, instead of letting your thoughts get carried away with the 49 things that you're going to do, just be present and see where you're at. See the road around you, see the trees around you, and appreciate and have gratitude for those things. That's really living in the present moment. And truly, our journey is built up of present moment, present moment, present moment. And the destination really is about all of the present moments that lead up to that journey. So that leads me also to one last and final point, that the things that are going on in your life right now that might feel all-consuming, those are situations in your life. You might call them your life situation versus your life. Situations in your life come and go, but you in the present moment is your life. And we don't have to allow our life situations to cause us unhappiness, because those life situations are here really in the whole perspective of things. They're here for a short amount of time and then they're gone. So learning how to choose happiness no matter what's happening around you is such a valuable choice. You can learn to enjoy every moment, even if there's sad things happening around you or uncomfortable things happening around you. Maybe you have someone in your life that's battling an illness that is totally out of your control. That's a great example of learning to be at peace and unconditionally accepting where that is, and finding peace to just be present in that situation. And it doesn't have to ruin your happiness, as they're not in conflict. They don't conflict with each other. You can be sad about a situation and still be at peace in your life. So I'm going to ask you, what is that one thing that you wanted to let go of today? And somehow, as I've been talking, my note card I've let go of my note card, and it really has just escaped me. So thank you to the rest of us that have joined us. Kim, Tracy, Marcy, thank you for being here. Okay, my note card has escaped me, but here's the thing. Write down the thing that you're going to let go of. And if you want, send that to me in an email at vickyrhaddock@gmail.com. I'll post that in the notes later below if you want to send me a note. And Here's the cathartic thing is burn that thing. Send it to me and I will burn it with everyone else's thing. Oh, Danny, thanks for joining. I know my directions from the beginning of the event to now were a little confusing, so we'll get that figured out better for the next Fireside Chat. So write down what you want and then watch it burn. You know, there's something very cathartic about, I'm just going to move my camera for a minute, and I'm going to put some things on there that I'm going to let go of. And watch that burn. And there's something just super cathartic about watching those things from the past burn and letting go and knowing that, hey, you are just completely disconnecting from those things, letting it go, getting it out of your life, and letting it go. Burning it, watching it go away is a signal that it no longer has control over power or power control over you. So send me your things via email or private message, however you want to do it, and I'll burn them and we'll have double power of letting go of those things so they don't control us anymore. Okay, so what have you enjoyed and what have you learned today? This is the interaction part where you get to leave a comment and share in this chat. So if you could just post a comment below, like, what is one thing that you're going to take away from this conversation today? What's something you either didn't know, a new insight that you got, or something that you're going to put into action when you leave today? Post in the comments. Share with your fellow travelers on the group here, or feel free to post if you're watching this later on. Post a comment anytime. Sarah says she's going to remember to be present. Yeah. Being present takes practice, and it's new habits. It's creating new habits in our brain. Our brain, when we start a new habit, it literally creates new paths and new synapses in our brain. And so the more that we do and practice something, the stronger those new connections become. So the easier it is to continue to do that. So thanks, Sarah, for sharing what you're taking away from this. Well, I have 2 opportunities coming up for you if you want to learn more about different